Hello, so today we're going to do another silly little game here. This one's going to be some tech that I figured out by looking at some stats. I'm not sure exactly how broken this is. We're going to look at the stats again today, but this is going to be SILVERMERE DAWN FIORA, if you couldn't tell from the thumbnail. Excuse me. So, trying to play around a flexible board, trying to play around like some forecast. I'm trying my best to learn forecast. I think my experience with playing around anything that's not a reroll is that it's usually going to be a very close to 8th, or you get a top 4 and nothing in between. It's just really hard, right? It's hard to manage econ, it's hard to manage HP, especially when some of the boards are so strong. A lot of times, like, I'll play around a forecast, I'll get to like the end of the game, I'll be like 30 HP, and then I'll play a Syndra player, I'll get wiped out, I'll lose 15 HP, I'll play the Syndra player again in a couple rounds, and then I'll go like 5th, right? But you know, so what's really important though is, especially in metas like this, not only are you learning for later, obviously Syndra is going to get nerfed. I talk about it every video because I feel like that's like the general consensus of a lot of people's problem with the set. I don't have a problem with Syndra anymore. I think I had a problem the first couple days. I'm starting to find ways to play around the comps. That's like part of learning as well. But part of it is also learning like niche lines. It's understanding, hey, this is a win con even stronger than the most broken thing in the game. And a lot of times those are unlocked with something like an Orn artifact, right? Orn artifacts, extra augments that give you like crazy stats or anything like that. Even getting like some sort of situation where you have like a particular Exodia, right? Where you have like a combination of like emblems with augments with certain items, right? All of these things can help contribute and bring you to like these boards that are actually very reliable and very strong in finding some sort of like solace in playing like a more niche line, right? As opposed to just like forcing towards it out of nowhere. One example is SILVERMERE DAWN FIORA, right? This is like a really good idea that you can maybe play around. I'm not sure when I hit the SILVERMERE DAWN, but we're gonna watch it throughout this video and we're gonna figure it out exactly. So big gains is kind of good sometimes, right? Depends on what you hit, depends on what you end up playing towards. Here I got like a war. Oh, I know what game this is gonna be. Okay, so I'll explain my entire thought process, right? So I think I had just lost the previous game, so I was at 0 LP, or I was at close to 0 LP. So I said to myself, well, you know what? Let's just try something for science, right? I heard about Warwick reroll, and I said, okay, big gains with a Warwick to start. I was like, maybe I can play towards Warwick reroll here, because Warwick, if you don't know, Warwick scales off attack speed. It was presumed that it would be one of the best one costs in the game, just like, you know, play like reroll Warwick. The problem is reroll Warwick fell really short because the other rerolls are just so much better that he never really gets super online. But the way Warwick works is that every time he gets a kill, he gains attack speed, and you can just snowball, right? So especially in PBE, a lot of people are always trying out Warwick reroll. Right now he seems very underpowered, but in my head I was like, oh, you know what, big gains, right? I'll get kills, I'll get attack speed as well as HP. The Warwick will be a demon for late game. That was my thought process at the beginning. I know I was just talking about like Exodia and other stuff. If you don't know, I'll show you the stats, right? One of the Exodia things is what's it called? Let me just pull it up right here. Let's go. Items, Orn artifacts. All right, let's switch out the scene real fast. We're gonna go to stats. Something that's like really crazy, if you don't know the Warwick tech, if you look here, Warwick with Corrupt Vampiric Scepter is giga strong, right? It averages like giga well, right? So it's not like broken, but it's like really good. So that's like an out that you can probably play towards if you don't know about it, right? What I always suggest what people do, I did this on stream actually. The VOD's still up, and I'll post the VOD as a member only video. But what I usually do, once per week basically, I'll look at the stats on every single Orn artifact, because now Orn artifacts aren't like, they're not things where you can play them and they're like good all the time, right? They're not generically good. Like there's some of them that are generically good, like Mogul's Mail and Eternal Winter. But some of them are like, they unlock certain things, like for example, Blightning Jewel with Karma is like tech, right? Deathfire Grass with Vigor is tech, right? These are things where like they have a very specific use case, right? Innervating Locket is really good with certain units, right? But like these items are very specific that they only work with certain units, right? So just by nature, like for example, Forbidden Idol, it only works if they have like, if they make a shield and their shield gets converted to health, right? They're very situational, but understanding when they're good and if your situation matches the use of the Orn artifact is really important. So what I usually like to do is I read every single Orn artifact, I see what units they're good on, I see how well they are in stats and stuff like this, and then I'll decide, okay, is this worth trying out in a game? If I feel like it makes sense to me when I read it, and if it does, then I try it out sometimes, right? This is similar to how this video is gonna come to be, right? We're watching this video now. It's a little bit, if you're watching this, the beginning of this video is gonna be really shaky. I don't have the greatest of openers. I'm not particularly rich because I'm holding on to these Warwicks and these other units. I'm holding on to this Katarina. I think I sell the Katarina at one point, which is a really bad mistake as well. But I probably would have been better off if I sell the Warwick and just play around Katarina with big gains, because Katarina is really strong early game as well. It's loaded carousel, so there's a lot of items to make. Here I'm basically just looking at what I can make for items. I take the double cloak on the 1 cost. I was under the impression that Bloodthirster was pretty good on Warwick. I looked in the stats during this. This was during a live stream, so I didn't check ahead of time. I didn't have the time to. Because I was just playing live, right? It turns out that Bloodthirster and just playing around Warwick is actually just really, really bad. So this whole beginning of this game, I just want you to like, whoop, like take that out of your head for a second, just whoop, just like throw it in like a little box and just forget about it. Because, you know, obviously it's early in the set. This was when I was gold 2, right? I'm already plat by now. You know, this was very early in my climb. I think this was a VOD from like the 1st or 2nd day of the set. So a lot of stuff that, you know, we didn't even have stats that were very accurate at the time. So I wasn't really like thinking as much of like, I was thinking like, okay, what stuff that I've tried out in PvE that maybe is good to try out here, right? I was in my tryout phase, right? I was in my, let me try out all the things that aren't Syndra and Kassadin, because I can try and find some sort of niche line. But at the same, I did look at the stats for Orn artifacts at this point though, because I think, actually, this would have been the 3rd day then. This would have been on the 3rd day, because the 2nd day I did the VOD review, right? Because the 1st day I played the game, 2nd day I did my VOD review, and the 3rd day I played, I knew what Orn artifacts to slam. But either way, I digress. That's not important. We're just doing idle chit chat because we're waiting until like the Giga hit happens in the game. But like I said, I was thinking originally like maybe I can play around Warwick reroll, right? I have 4 Warwicks. I can make Bloodthirster. I'm just not slamming anything because Bloodthirster apparently is really bad. Because I have so few Warwicks, if I found like 3 or 4 more Warwicks, I would play Warwick reroll. But in this case, I just don't have that opportunity because this isn't a good Warwick spot, right? Even like, you know, it's not strong enough as a unit right now to play from this spot, right? I'm not going to roll down to 0 gold and try and hit Warwick 3. I'm just going to lose every round anyways. It's over, right? So that's why I'm not making items yet. I'm trying to decide what to do with these. I should make Econ here, so I should sell these 4 units if I don't win. Oh, I'm buying the Rumble. Okay, that's true. Rumble pair is really good because Rumbles are really good tank, especially for mid game. Making 30 is a little bit suspicious here because if I'm not playing a reroll, you really want to have like 40 gold or 50 gold by now. I think what really screwed me up is winning this one fight. It kind of gave me the illusion that maybe I was strong. Right, I won the fight right before carousel round, and I was thinking to myself, ooh, maybe I can actually win with Warwick. And then like I lost all the other fights, and by now I'm like, yeah, okay, this Warwick unit is trash. Big gains kind of sucks because big gains, it's a good augment, right? It's really good for like reroll comps in general, just because like you get them in, you power them up, you level them up, you star them up, and then they get a bunch of HP over time. So if you have like a good reroll opener, so if you have something you want to reroll from the start of the game, it's really, really good to just take it, commit to it, and then you just get a bunch of HP on everybody, makes everybody super tanky, which is usually where rerolls strive. Like that's what they strive to be. We'll see what we hit. I think I take Artifact on the 2nd augment, right? I feel comfortable now, like I have a rough idea of which units like which artifacts. Just off rip, so I can kind of evaluate the artifacts a little bit decently right now. I remember I made another video where I was talking about artifacts a lot, and that was when I was talking around mages and karma. Playing around AP, mages, and karma, you pretty much can't miss when you pop open an artifact anvil, because there's so many ones that are good for Vex, there's so many that are good for Vigor, and there's so many that are good for karma. So you run into a situation where, like, getting an option of picking 4 Orn artifacts, you're probably going to find one of them that's either generically good or is good for the board in general. So playing towards those AP lines are pretty reliable to find like a strong Orn artifact. Because it's 1 turn until augment, and I'm not really protecting a win streak, I kind of decide that, yeah, I'm just gonna chill for a second here. Let's just leave all of these on the bench, and we'll just make items next turn. Leaving items on the bench is really bad because obviously, like, you know, if I slammed a single item here, I probably would have killed at least 1 or 2 more units, and that would have saved me some HP. The only reason I'm not doing this is because it's really early in the set. I'm not really dedicated. I don't really have direction. I have big gains, but big gains is kind of useless right now because I'm not really playing around big gains at all. So we're just not worrying about it. Here, I'm looking for the augment that I care about is the one that gives me the most direction. I take branching out. Right? I take branching out. What do I get? I get warrior emblem. So now I know that I'm playing vertical warrior. I'm probably just going to play 4 warriors, and that's it. That's the end of the game. That's it. I needed direction because I'm very lost. I know that I'm not playing around Warwick. I don't know exactly what items to make, and I don't want to commit to anything in particular. So taking a silver augment like branching out, it basically tells me, okay, this is the comp that I'm playing. That's why I took it. Obviously, if you watch some of my other videos, they're going to be more informative of like playing a good early game into mid game, playing good mid game into late game, talking about all of that stuff. This is obviously a very dizzy game. This is obviously a very, like, I'm going to get bailed out by something later. It's very obvious like that. I hope that's very obvious from the way that it's been playing out, right? For me at least, I wasn't quite sure what I was doing. It was very early on in the set, and I'm just trying my best to experiment and play around something that was new, and I decided it was a bad idea, right? That's the thing you should always understand, right? If you, like, you know, I didn't roll down to 0 gold looking for Warwick 3 here, right? I could have. It might have worked out, but the chances are I would have got bot 4 anyways, and that's why I was in this predicament, because basically, like, my original plan, I presumed without thinking that Warwick was much better than he was. I thought Warwick was better than what the stats show. I trust the stats. This Warwick really didn't do shit all of stage 2. I have basically no stacks on him, no scaling. I'm ready to just sell him. I find a Kassadin 2. It doesn't mean that I'm playing multi-striker. All it means is that, you know, I found the Kassadin 2. I'm just gonna play Kassadin 2 over the Warwick and be a little bit more stable. I'm trying to make as strong a board as possible. Ideally, I find a warrior, but I don't want to roll too deep because obviously then I'll be too broke. I want to play around Gwen Fiora, right? Gwen Fiora plus Katarina plus 1, right? This is what I want. That's my end goal now. Kassadin is just really strong as a unit, really broken anyways. I don't have multi-striker in, so I'm obviously going to lose to some of these boards, like especially this one. The Vigor is just pummeling my Kassadin, so I don't expect to win this. I think I'll just get cheesed out by the Vigor. Not cheesed out, but I'll just get railed by the Vigor. But I'm minimizing the amount of losses that I'm taking, right? This was only a 2-unit loss, so I only lost like, what, like 5 health or something. Not that bad, not that big of a deal. Here there's spats. I don't even think I take the spat. I think I just have to take Gwen for Gwen. Or Fiora for Fiora. Do I take the spat? Oh, okay, I take the spat. Spat's good, but it's risky. I think I'm just going all in. This is a very 1st or 8th kind of game. So this game, yeah, this is just a 1st or 8th kind of game. I think a lot of times when you mess up your opener like I did, like my stage 2, I wasn't rich and I wasn't like particularly strong. And now I'm playing towards warrior without any warrior units. My items are okay, but they're not particularly amazing. So I just run into this situation. I think it's always make witchcraft emblem here, because if you make witchcraft emblem, then you can play around Fiora plus 4 witchcraft, right? That would be pretty good. The only problem is that my gold augment is kind of useless, right? Usually when you take big gains, you want to be playing around units that you're going to keep in your whole game, right? As of right now, Kassadin's going to get sold. This guy's probably going to get sold. These guys are probably useless. So is the Zillion. because I'm playing around this warrior board that I'm gonna have to sell a lot of my units for later. I'm not gonna bring up the warrior board in general because it's like pretty difficult. Just know that you're just playing vertical warriors and just pick as many units as possible. It's usually warriors with preservers. Actually, I should probably show you guys just so you know roughly what I'm thinking about. Team builder. It looks something like this, right? You typically play like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you play like preserver 1, 2, 3, like this. You play something like this. So basically you have bard for I'll try and pair them up so that it's easier to see everybody. But when you're playing like vertical warriors, you usually play something like this, right? And then you just stack in an extra thing. So you have Gwen, you have bard, so you get Sugarcraft in, Rakan, Katarina, you get the extra fairy item in, you get fairy in, Fiora, Morgana, you get witchcraft in, and then Nyla is usually the other warrior that you play if you don't have a warrior +1. And then basically what you have is you have this little core of boards. You can reroll it, but typically you'll play like one extra unit or so. You typically just play an extra preserver, so it's often just Zillion, because preserver basically helps your whole board recover maximum HP. And you play something along the lines of this, right? There's different variations of it. You can sell units. If you have a warrior +1, you can get rid of Nyla. You can also play another warrior. You can play like a Kali, right? And you can play like Pyro as well instead of the Zillion. So you play like a Kali and then like Shen. And then maybe you level for a Bastion, right? You could level for like Tarek. Right, you have different options, but basically you're mostly playing around Gwen Fiora. The more capped out version of this is that you don't play 4 warrior, and typically you just play this board, but then you play you play it with Karma and preservers. So you play Karma, and then Vex, and some other units, right? This is like the other board that you probably see more often. It's usually like Vex, this +1, like I'm looking for it, this guy, like something like this, right? That's like really hard to deal with. Just you get into Chrono, you get in the extra preservers, you can get in Eldritch if you don't have the Morgana until later. It's just really strong. But anyways, I digress. So this is my 4-1 board. I'm basically just gonna sack. I'm gonna roll for 4-2. Right? We're gonna go all in on 4-2 and we're gonna try our best. I make blue buff here. Blue buff is gonna be for Gwen. I can make another item here. I'm basically gonna make Sunfire Cape because, you know, ideally we get the Sunfire Cape going. I'm gonna make Spark. These are my Gwen items, right? Spark is really good on Gwen. Blue buff is also pretty good on Gwen. I made Morello. This was a huge mistake. So somehow I messed up my items a little bit. I made Sunfire Cape for anti-heal, and then I made Morello. So now I have double anti-heal. The reason I did that is because I want to make a Witchcraft emblem more so than anything else. So I definitely want to make Witchcraft emblem here. I just run into that situation where I don't know. This is where I hit Portable Forge. So we're finally going to hit our Fiora item, which is going to be broken. So let's just pause for a second on this. So I know about this tech. I've seen it before. But basically what Silvermere Dawn does, I don't know if I show it. Let's pause and see if it, okay, there we go. Bro, I'm so bad at this. Okay, we're gonna pause it right now. Sorry about this if it's ruining your YouTube viewing experience. But basically Portable Forge, there's a couple, I'm looking for a bailout. There's a couple of them that are really good, just in general with warriors, right? One of them that's really good is Infinity Edge. Right? Infinity Force, right? Infinity Force is good on both Gwen and Fiora. That's the one that just gives you a bunch of stats, right? A lot of the tank items are really good on Gwen, as well as some of the frontline units. I'm kind of down for any generic tank item. Zonya's Paradox, like Hourglass, is really good on Gwen, right? So there's a lot of options for Gwen. Silvermere Dawn is broken on Fiora. So if you don't know what Silvermere Dawn does, I'll try and pause it when I hover over it right here. So it gives a bunch of attack damage, which is insane. It gives a bunch of defensive stats, 50 armor and 50 magic resist. The user is immune to stun, and the attack stun the target for 0.8 seconds. So basically your unit becomes like a walking stun bot, but it locks the attack speed at 0.5. The thing about Fiora is that Fiora doesn't attack that fast. in the first place, right? She's not that fast of an attacker, right? If we go to the stats, let's go here. Obviously, like, you know, these are still early game stats. I wouldn't necessarily say this is the BIS or this is like broken or anything. It's not like anything super crazy, but if you look at Fiora, SILVERMERE Dawn is really good on her. I think if you look at Fiora as a unit in general, SILVERMERE Dawn is one of the best placing. It's a very low play rate, but it's one of the best placing in like her items. If you look at her items in general, it's one of her best items that you can put on her, right? It's just so strong. Obviously, like stuff like mittens and some of the other stuff is pretty good, but I read about this. I read this in the stats. And I was like, I want to try it out one time. Now's the time that we're gonna try it out. So we're gonna see how strong it is here, and let's like ride this train, right? Obviously, I'm not in the best spot. I'm not even that rich, so you know we're rolling with like 30 gold. I hit a shot with Gwen and Fiora, so guess what? GG. We got Gwen, we got Fiora, we got our warriors in. All good. So SILVERMERE Dawn, our front line and our units are kind of whack, but you know it is what it is. Those are gonna be my Gwen items. We get Nasus too for free. Whatever, we'll take it. I'm trying to figure out what to play. I should definitely be playing this Bard. I find a Camille, so I'm down to Warrior Emblem Camille. Now I said SILVERMERE Dawn was good on Camille. I already slammed it on Fiora. It's my Fiora item set. As you can see here, I just do this. I do Witchcraft, so I have Witchcraft in. I have this. My positioning bad. My Fiora's gonna have to walk all the way around. But watch this Fiora, right? So look at her attacking. It actually worked out that my Fiora pathed and walked all the way to the back line. Fiora, she really attacks really slow, right? As you can see here, she's not really like attacking particularly fast, but every attack that she does is a stun. So she's not doing that much damage, but she is just being a nuisance to everybody. She's being the Giga nuisance of Doom. So I had a Preserver. I gotta play this guy. I should be getting Sugarcraft stacks for my Gwen, which would be really, really helpful right about now. We get Preserver in. We have our 4 Warrior. I have this guy for Shapeshifter, but you know it's not necessarily it's not essential to be Shapeshifter. And then we get our Fairy Crown in. My board's starting to come together, right? They're all 1-starred, but don't fret because how do I phrase it? Whenever you start the game, like whenever you're rolling for a 4 cost, typically you're only looking for 1 copy of the unit at the start of stage 4. It's usually when you're closer to stage 5 that you upgrade all of your 4 costs. Right now, all I'm looking for is like some level of stability. I'm very low on HP, but I am 2 lives, right? 20 health is around 2 lives, so I should be fine for a little bit. As you can see here, I'm kind of steamrolling everybody, right? Now, some of these boards didn't hit yet, right? This is a Preserver board where this guy's still level 7, right? Obviously, if I managed my stage 2 a little bit better this game and I wasn't so lost, I would definitely play probably towards like, you know, leveling a little bit later to make sure I had the gold. Here on first pick, I'm not sure exactly what I take. I should just take the Briar. What am I doing here? Yeah, just take the Briar. So Briar is Shapeshifter. Briar also scaled with how low your HP is. Briar is actually really good in a lot of spots. I try my best to play around Briar. She's not that crazy because, like, you know, obviously if I'm playing like certain boards like capped Syndra, capped Kassadin, capped like Varus, Briar's not going to do that much. But out for like an out of nowhere unit, Briar is a much better Shapeshifter than this guy for sure, right? I think we can all agree. I found Morgana, right? So now I'm gonna switch in Morgana, right? I get the extra Preserver in, so now I'm gonna be 3 Preserver with the Rakan, and then instead of playing, because I have a Warrior emblem, basically I'm gonna give Briar the Warrior trait, right? Briar is basically gonna gain a bunch of Omnivamp as well as like durability, which are both things that she really, really wants that will make her an absolute demon. I don't have a Briar item in particular, but I'll probably just reforge this tier and make a Briar item. But yeah, check this out. If you watch these fights now, my board kind of came together in a magical way. So Gwen has really strong items and she's doing a bunch of damage. Fiora is just getting around, and because Fiora dives the backline, she's just stunning the backline, right? The backline is just fucking dying, right? Which is so funny because like the main thing that I didn't mention about SILVERMERE Dawn, which I didn't notice until watching some of these fights, is that I forgot that when Fiora casts, she does like this thing where she like jumps and like strikes a bunch of units and hits the backline. Because then what happens with SILVERMERE Dawn is she does this and all these guys are just stunned now. and take giga damage because it gives like 165 AD. So Fiora just goes and she casts and she just hits everybody and they're all just fucking dead. They're all dead, and if they're not dead, they're stunned. And guess what? While they're stunned, my Gwen just comes around and she's like, hello, and she just like snips and everybody dies. It's so funny. I was laughing when I was playing this because I didn't think it was this good, right? In the stats, it just says it's like minus 0.3. It didn't say that it was like that crazy. But look at this. My Fiora dives, she stunned everybody, and then Briar and Gwen are just like deleting everybody. It's so silly. It's so silly. If you watch this Fiora, her damage isn't even that crazy, right? Like, she's not even like giga damage. My whole board is supporting each other in almost a perfect way. And then I have Preserver with the 4 warriors, so everybody is like stable. I also hit this Nasus too, which was really lucky, but I think any frontline unit I would have played around. It just worked out that Briar with Shapeshifter, I get to play Briar with the Nasus. If I didn't have Briar, you know, I could have played something like Diana with Taric, right? There's a lot of 4 costs that have like frontline traits that you can kind of play around. I guess there's not a 5 cost Vanguard, but I hope you get what I mean. So there's a couple options there of like melee 5 costs that I could have played instead of this Briar. But this is just so silly. You know, now I think this is where I make a mistake. I should make Deathblade here. Deathblade is really strong on Briar if you look at the stats, just by nature of her like diving and doing like a shit ton of damage. I think I make Edge of Night or some other shit. I don't know what I make. I should reforge the tier here. Or maybe I just make, I think I make like, do I make Shojin? I don't know what I make. But I want to itemize this Briar because even as a Briar 1, she's doing a lot. I econed up this stage. I'm not going to level 9. I'm just rolling for upgrades. I want Gwen 2. I want Fiora 2. If I hit the other units, I'm down. But those are the main units I need to hit. I make Bloodthirster. Bloodthirster is actually pretty bad on Briar. But guess what? It's better than 1 Bloodthirster. 1 Bloodthirster for every hand, baby. We got 2 Bloodthirster Briar. I should have made Deathblade something else, right? I think Deathblade would have made her do so much more damage. But it's okay. This Briar is still a demon, right? This is Briar 1. Look at this. See? Briar does the most damage. Fiora is like, they're all doing an equal amount of damage, which is kind of silly. So my whole board is kind of supporting each other. They're all just like cleaning up the whole board. I misclicked. I didn't hit the Gwen because my bench was full. So I would have had Gwen 2 by now, which is really sad. That's my bad. I'm just rolling really deep here. I'm Fiora paired. I'm Gwen paired. I would have had Gwen 2. Let's just say Copium. It was the same Gwen. But I messed up that roll down. I'm not really going for Katarina 3 here. Okay, the Gwen came back, so I hit the Gwen 2 now. But I messed up. So I'm just locking it. I'll just buy it next turn. Here I'm playing this Vigor unit. My whole board's still 1-star, which is a little bit scary. But my Nasus is very tanky, right? Especially with the Witchcraft emblem. Well, he's not for Witchcraft yet, so the Witchcraft doesn't really do anything. But it does reduce some of the... Like, once I hit 4 Witchcraft, like, I can level for 4 Witchcraft later. I should buy this Gwen and unfreeze the shop, by the way. Yeah, and then unlock. Yeah, there we go. Unlock the shop, buy the Gwen. I have Gwen 2 now, so I'm slightly stable. As soon as I hit Fiora 2, I should be, like, good to go. Right? A lot of this came together. A lot of times this Warrior board really falls apart for 2 reasons. One, not having Warrior +1. I don't think 6 Warrior is that strong. I don't think it's, like, the necessity to play around. Right, if we go like, let's just go Explorer. Right, let's go... Well, the stats are really awkward with Warriors because a lot of times you play Fiora and Gwen with Karma. So looking at the traits, it's often very difficult to figure out what's exactly strong, right? So here, I'll show you what I mean. If I go stats... See, it says Fiora with 2 warrior is minus delta. Then it says Fiora with 4 warrior is plus delta and 6 warrior is plus delta. The problem is it's because you only really play Fiora with Karma 2 warrior. You play Gwen, Fiora, Karma, and like that board. So it's hard to tell the stats of like without exclusions and everything on its own. It says 6 warrior is good. I don't want to really play towards 6 warrior in this game because it's a little bit difficult for me to like structure my board. I have the Witchcraft +1, so I probably want to play around the 4 Witchcraft more. Because like I think with Witchcraft it's a little bit easier to tell that that's pretty strong, but that's like my thought process at least. But it's funny, did you expect me to win every fight with a Fiora 1? Like I didn't expect to be as stable as I was, but basically I'm just rolling until I hit this Fiora 2, then I can level for maybe Nico, and I get the extra witchcraft in. But until then, because I'm so low on HP, I'm not gonna really level until I hit Fiora 2. And there we go, we got Fiora 2. So now I can just econ up, level up, and then like try and upgrade these units. I don't know what I took on Carousel, but I ended up getting a blue buff. I don't know why. Whatever, we just put blue buff on Katarina. It's AP item, sure, maybe it helps her. Yeah, there's a lot of people playing towards Gwen. There's the other guy playing towards Fiora. This is the karma board I was talking about, right? This is Vertical Preserver, Gwen, Fiora. This is the exact board that I was talking about. Which is probably why it's so hard for me to hit. But basically, you play Fiora, you play Witchcraft, you play Vertical Preserver, and you play Gwen Fiora with the Preservers, and it makes you really strong. You don't even need to play like 4 Witchcraft with the Cassiopeia. A lot of times I see them just play more Preservers. But I just wiped this guy's board. The thing is, I'm pretty sure this guy, he's just full econ maxing, right? So he's like not in a point, like he's in a point where like he's at his weakest. I'm pretty sure that guy's gonna beat me anyways. Like I don't think I beat him in the end game, like in the late game scenarios. I don't think I beat him. Briar Pair, I'm down. Yeah. Now, I don't know if it's like I should have played towards 6 Warrior. The thing with 6 Warriors, I have to play a Nyla, and I have to play an Akali, and I would have to drop one of these units. Now, obviously, I can drop the Bard, because like the Sugarcraft doesn't really matter that much. It kind of does, but like I don't want to lose Preservers, right? I think Preserver is more important than the 6 Warrior. Maybe I'm wrong, but in this particular setup it is. Just because I already have this Briar, I already have this, like if I didn't have Nasus 2, like, you know, I'm selling Nasus 2 for like Akali Nyla. Like, that doesn't make sense to me, right? Because I can fit the board in if I sell the Nasus, right? If I sell Nasus and I sell Briar, right? If I sell Nasus, I sell Briar, then I have 2 open spots for 2 extra warriors, and I can also play an extra Preserver, and I can basically play 6 warrior, like 4 Preserver or something like that. The problem is I don't want to sell Briar, because Briar's been doing so much work for me. And the Nasus synergizes with the Briar, so I'm just gonna stay 4 warrior. I'm just gonna level for 1 more Witchcraft, because with 4 Witchcraft, basically your Witchcraft units now heal, so it will make this guy really tanky with Preserve. It will also make the Fiora a lot more tanky. But yeah, this is a silly game to me. Like, this was very silly. Now, I never expected to get anything above like 5th here, because a lot of times when I play games like this, I obviously messed up my early game. I got bailed out really hard. We're not trying to pretend like I'm some god-sent really good gamer. I never ever try and portray myself in that way. I just find it really funny. Like, I looked at the stats, I wanted to try it out. It didn't look that crazy in the stats, but it actually works out really well, and with a board like this, it synergizes really nicely. I'm not sure how much the Briar was essential here, but if I didn't have the Briar, I could have just played like 6 warrior, right? I could have warrior emblem somebody else, drop you, play 6 warrior, and I probably and just primary tank my Rakan, right? That would have been like the other alternative, if I'm playing vertical warrior in this type of manner. This is the guy I was talking about. I'm pretty sure this guy just beats me late game. He might even beat me now. Karma is just so broken and does so much damage, and this guy's Gwen has like, you know, it's just so much to deal with. I'm pretty sure I'll just like die and just lose. I think I beat him here, but he has so much HP. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this guy, like, he spent all his gold, right? He's late game special and he spent all his gold. I don't know. It's crazy that I beat him there, but I'm not sure. My items also don't work out well. Remember I told you I made the mistake. I made Morello and Sunfire. This is a Syndra player. Maybe I just lose to a Syndra player. Who knows? I'm trying to make sure that my front line, my Fiora and my Gwen, trying to separate them so they don't like go crazy. Here I rolled on 8, right? I'm rolling on 8 because I'm kind of scared, because of my power level, right, in general. So I rolled for I'm rolling for charms just to make sure I don't lose a fight. I found a Briar too, because I had 2 Briars, get a champ duplicator, easy peasy. I could have held the champ duplicator and try and go for Rakan 3. The problem is the other guy's playing Preserver and he's level 9. I'm sure he's going to be able to contest and find a Rakan. I don't want to dedicate myself to it as a strategy, at least until I beat some of these players. Okay, no, I don't beat this Syndra player. Ah, I see. So my Fiora wasn't able to stun the backline, right? Because she got stuck on the Swain. I wonder if there's a positioning. I need to read about Fiora's positioning. If there's a positioning that I could have stunned the Cassiopeia and the Syndra with the Fiora, and then if my Fiora, like, you know, sometimes Fiora dives the backline. If I was able to make my Fiora dive the backline, I think I would have been able to win that fight. but I wasn't. Maybe it's just a third. I don't know what I ended up placing this game. I did kind of get bailed out, so everything is like house money. You know, I'm like, I didn't go 8th. I'm kind of happy, right? I'm pretty excited too. You know, this was supposed to be a Warwick reroll game. And you know, I just pivoted into something that I thought was cool based on like my items and my emblem that I hit. This is the Preserver guy. He's Pandora's Bench as well, so that's kind of scary. I think I beat him because it's clone. We'll see how it ends up after this fight. Let's see. Does he kill the Syndra player? No, the Syndra player is just so fucking strong. The Syndra player has this Swain 3. So the Swain 3 sometimes is crazy. It's learning to spell Syndra, so that's why he's so far ahead. Ooh, Witchcraft Emblem is big for me, so I really want this Witchcraft Emblem. Because then I'm for Witchcraft. That's probably my biggest spike, because these items I don't really need to itemize anybody else on my board. Maybe I can itemize the other dude. But this guy's learning to spell with 6 Preserver. Or sorry, 6 Shapeshifter. I think I never beat him. Yeah. It is what it is. My board's pretty nice though, you gotta admit. It's pretty cool how I fit in the Briar. I'm trying to position. I'm trying to like hug all the opposite side. Because when I put Fiora on the other side, it didn't really work out for me. We'll see. Reroll my shop. I'm just trying to see something. What am I rolling for here? I'm just trying to like bink. Nah, I don't even think it's worth it. I'm just rolling for Morgana. So that's why I bought that charm. I was probably better off buying a combat charm. I'm fighting this guy. Why did I position on opposite side? I feel like I griefed my own game. Uh-oh. I think my Gwen might die. I think I beat this guy for sure, right? I thought this guy would outcap me, but he didn't, which is kind of silly and funny. I think it's because it's melee versus melee, right? Whenever I'm playing a melee unit, I think there was a couple fights I probably didn't comment on particularly, but those multicaster players where I just won the fight really easily, and that's because my Fiora would attack the Kassadin or attack the Akali, and she would stun them, so they wouldn't stack up their Gwinsu, and then they would just get stuck on my Fiora, and they would instantly die. Which was really funny as well. Here I get extra dummies. I put them on this side. I don't think I ever chew through this Swain, because the Swain scales off his AP as well, so I think this is like learning to spell Swain 3. So he's just like really, really strong. Was rolling for Rakan maybe. You never know. He positioned to this side, which is really bad for me. Oh, he's not learning to spell. Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. He's just really strong because it's 6 Shapeshifter Swain. It's looking kind of close. I just need to like kill 1 or 2 things. My Briar died. Swain's max HP. Yeah, never mind. I needed my Fiora to really dive on the Syndra to stop some of these casts. So I think I just end up with a third. That's fine. This was all house money. Obviously, if you have this spot earlier in the game though, like let's say you start the game with a Silvermere Dawn, this is a viable line. You can play around the warriors that I already showed you. It was a pretty interesting and fun game nonetheless, and hopefully it was an enjoyable watch. You know, obviously I'm a little bit more tired making some of these videos, so I'm not super hyper, but it was still very fun for me to play. And this is like an idea of like, you know, if you know certain Orn artifacts and there's certain combos. Obviously here I was already playing towards warrior and then I hit the right Orn artifact for my comp. But there's certain comps that work really well with Orn artifacts. Warriors is one of them because I listed there's a lot of them that work with Gwen, some of them that work with Fiora. The other ones that are really good are mages and Karma. Those ones work really well with Orn artifacts. You just want to try and minimize your chance of missing really hard. Anyways, hopefully that was a fun video. You know, we played around Warrior, Briar, and Fiora. It's a very cook heavy board. Not like super cook, but like, you know, decent cook. And we were able to salvage ourselves some placements because we high rolled into some Fioras and Gwens, stabilized around 1 stars with really good item combinations. And yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully that was enjoyable. See ya.